How you guys liking WordCamp? Was the party as good as last year's? Who made it to last year's party? You remember the ice luge? Yeah. And the city hall shenanigans? I hear last night you guys hijacked a cart of alcohol and went cruising down Chandler. Way to help us out with our liquor license, guys. Really appreciate it. Welcome to Gangplank. This is kind of the place in Chandler. We kind of run the scene around here. If there's anything going on in Phoenix, tech-wise, it's probably happening out of this building. If you guys are unaware, it's open all day to anybody who wants to drop by and co-work with you guys. There's anchor companies, there's a little bit of everything going on here. There's 3D printers, there's youth activities. So if you live here in the neighborhood, come on down to Gangplank whenever you want. I'm going to talk a little bit about organic growth and how, and use Pagely as an example, how we got to where we are and what we do. This is a play on a quote by Clinton's economic team. It's about traction stupid. Clinton said, the economy's stupid. Really, when you're trying to grow anything, you've got to prove the traction. That's all you should be focused on. Your product, your feature, your design, it's really all useless if it doesn't lead to traction, if people don't actually use it. So that's right how we're going to talk about doing things organically. Do I need to waste some time here? Good. Is that on? You guys all get your WP Candy quarterly? Yes. Well, Ryan's in the back. He's got a few issues. If you guys don't know what WP Candy is,
check. Yes.
It's a fabulous online resource for all things WordPress, and I would venture to say it is the de facto place for news in WordPress. So be sure to check it out regularly, and now we're doing a print edition. Is somebody controlling the volume here? Okay. Okay, so as I said, check out WP Candy, it's really great. And real quick, business related, who's here starting their own business? Who's tried? Who's done anything? Isn't it like learning a new language? Yeah. So our friends at Zendesk, we're good friends with the CEOs over there. His wife is deaf and wrote this book, which is Danish Sign Language for kids. And my wife is Danish, and they're both Danish. And I just got this in the mail today, and I thought it's pretty interesting because I don't know about you guys, when I learned business, it was like learning a new language. So I just thought that was topically relevant. So who am I? Well, I'm this guy. I went to college up in NAU in Flagstaff, met my wife up there in 2000, graduated on Friday, married her on a Saturday, started my business 2 months later. I've never had a real job. I've done everything kind of by the seat of my pants. I'm a new father. This is my son Ethan, who's 3 weeks old. And I just barely got out of the house to come here today. My beautiful wife Sally, I race cars when I used to have time, and I really enjoy snow sports. Here's how I got here. In 2003, as I said, take that. We started OG Web Technologies. We did client design services, SEO, marketing, development. We had an office up here in Scottsdale, 7 employees, all bootstrapped, doing pretty good. And in 2005, we decided to get into the product, or we'll call it residual revenue space. We didn't like doing client work anymore. Who would agree with that sentiment? Yeah, clients are fun. So we started bestpartyever.com, which at the time, this is right about when Facebook was going public, as in coming out from just the university's exclusive hold. It's a social network for party planning. Sally came up with the idea. She kind of did all the content for it. We developed some of the features that Facebook has since way made famous. And you know, it did all right, but right now it just basically sits there and sends me a Google AdWords check every month. So not every endeavor is a success. You know, that one definitely went sideways. I probably lost 100 grand on it. In 2006, we were doing client services still, and Sally overheard me on the phone talking to a client. saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't help you anymore. I just can't do it for that rate. I can't do it for that price. And after 2 or 3 conversations like that throughout the day, she says, Josh, you said no to $5,000, $6,000 today. I'm like, yeah, but it's a $900 chunks. We can't make money. We can't be profitable with that anymore. So she saw what we're doing, and she's like, well, can't you just click a few buttons and make a website for them? Like, yeah, it doesn't quite work like that. But there was this thing called WordPress at the time, version 1.2. And we were making websites on WordPress, and we got this idea that what if we put WordPress in the hands of the user and did the automation of the installs and the setup and things, and handed that to the customer to kind of manage their own site. So it was the precursor of Pagely, managed WordPress hosting. It went pretty good. We got about 50, 60 clients. Marketing sucked. This was pre-Twitter, pre-Facebook. We really didn't put a lot of marketing dollars behind it, so it was really hard to get off the ground. Excuse me. But it did something very important. It proved that there was a market there. People were willing to pay for this. So we kind of shuttered it, though, and stepped away and went back to doing client services work. In 2008, me and 4 other guys started this, Gangplank. I'll rephrase that. 4 other guys and me started this. I don't want to give myself any undue credit. It was certainly a collaborative effort. We started with a joint office space up the road, then we got another building, then we got this building, which is funded off a grant from the city of Chandler. So we are socialist, communist, business people taking government handouts, right? But why not? It provides this great little space for entrepreneur research, and I don't know about you guys, if you've been in Arizona long, the business economy around here is a little retarded. Oop. It's a little ridiculous. I shouldn't say that's offensive. And so Gangplank was the answer to our frustration of there not being a good tech scene here. Everybody's like, we got to move to the valley. We got to get out of Arizona. And we said, no, we have families here. We can make do in Phoenix. And Gangplank was the answer. And this is the 3rd iteration of it. What is it, 5, 6 years old. We own the building next door, as well as this space. And as soon as the architecture plans fix or pass the city, we're going to blow down this wall, add a 2nd story to that building, about 17,000 square feet here. Okay, so 2009, what did I do? I blew the dust off Flare 9, said, you know what, WordPress is getting bigger and badder, stronger. I think there's some legs to this idea of managed WordPress hosting. So I blew the dust off that code, refactored it, rebranded it, registered the domain name Pagely, and launched that in 2009. I started it in about May, launched September 28th, got our first customer September 28th. Haven't looked back. So, nice straight line, right? This is the entrepreneur journey. But we all know that's not how it works, right? This is a more realistic representation of growing a business. A lot of back and forth, a lot of pluses, a lot of minuses, failures, successes. Does anybody relate to this? Oh, yeah. It's your life, right? Unfortunately, this is it for just about everybody. A lot of false starts, a lot of what they call, politically correct now, pivots. Is that not the most overused piece of shit term? Okay. So this is what Pagely is. It's managed WordPress hosting. We're the first to market. We have marquee clients. We're bootstrapped, we're profitable, and we're born right here in Arizona. When we're talking about organic growth, this is what it looks like. What's missing from this graph?
A scale.
A scale, okay. Way to kick me in the junk. Well, I can tell you that tail end is in the many thousands. So put your scale together. Correct answer here is a hockey stick, right? This is a not a good trajectory, consistent growth. It's not a zoom to the moon like you just got infused with cash. You know, it's not your traditional what they would want to see if you're an investor sort of, you know, huge traction. It's just a nice consistent growth curve. Thousands of paying customers, and what's important about the organic side is we did this with almost no money. We did the entire thing on revenue. somewhere around here, we started spending a little money on retargeting and some AdWords and things like that, and maybe some WordCamp sponsorships. But throughout, it's basically just been word of mouth. Some of our clients include Vonage, Fee Fighters, Twilio, Get Satisfaction, the Boy Scouts of America, Vidler, Publishers Clearinghouse. Ed McMahon, remember those? We have customers, everything from personal bloggers to entire city governments like Arlington County, Virginia. We have EDU clients, a little bit of everything. We host everything from your site that gets 5 page views a month to your site that gets 5 or 10 million. Just kind of depends what the customer needs from us at the time. So here's a sweeping generalization. Why would you grow organically? You could, because there's options. You could bootstrap, or you could take funding, or you could do something in the middle. This is an argument for why you grow organically, especially here in Arizona. There's very little smart money here, and your business is boring. Smart money means people that get it. Arizona's all real estate money. That's all they do here is invest in real estate and land, and how'd that work out for everybody? Has anybody got a mortgage here? Yeah, when's the last time you saw your Zillow property values, huh? And when I say boring, it's actually a good thing. Gee. When I say boring, I mean a traditional business built on revenues, built on sound business principles, built on, I have a product that's actually worth something that provides real value that people are willing to pay for. It's not Twitter. It's not Facebook. It's not, I need 20 million eyeballs and then I'll sell ads to them. It's a real traditional business. You got a customer, you got a product, you sell it, you make a margin in the middle. It's boring, but it works. 99% of the wealth in this country is built on that model, not the Google IPOs. But unfortunately, investors don't care about the traditional model, so that's what I mean by boring. And finally, your idea sucks until proven otherwise. Does anybody disagree with that? Oh, come on. You guys all have great ideas. Your ideas are awesome. I thought mine were awesome until they proved to suck. I hit one or two out of the park, and I got lucky. Time and luck, pretty much. But by that, until it's actually proven, your idea is nothing but an idea. So another sweeping generalization. Arizona kind of sucks. It's wicked hot, and most people suffer from head and ass syndrome.
Very true.
Really? Okay, I'm just going to stand right here. Has anybody followed local Arizona politics? Then you know that's a true statement. So, and again, the business community is all up in real estate, and nobody just gets tech. Nobody gets the entrepreneur bootstrapper. They're all into real estate or multi-level marketing. And it's weird, is Intel's building a new $5 billion plant 3 miles south of here, and we have this price corridor, which is a huge kind of tech boom, yet Arizona is not known for tech. Gangplank's actually trying to change that a little bit. So the Valley. Everybody wants to go to the Valley. The Series C for Does a Bear Shit in the Woods iPhone app with 47 free users will be an up round. In investment lingo, that means you made a piece of crap, but investors are willing to throw more and more money behind it because it's Silicon Valley. I think they're detached from reason. Now, would I turn down $20 million for an idea? Probably not, but there's a huge difference between these two. Arizona companies tend to be more hardy, slower, more organic. Like you really have to kind of cut your teeth. It's a desert. There's a scarcity of resources. So you have to bootstrap and be mindful and watch the revenues and the profit and not go crazy. Where in the Valley, dude, you'll have 24 months of runway because some idiot just gave you $10 million for your Flickr for cars app.
I thought we were in the Valley.
Yeah. But, so you're going to get faster growth and more runway, but it's a very delicate model, right? You're building your business on a very weak foundation because you don't have a product. So you can't really see this, but in your grizzlyscat.com startup in San Francisco, right, that had a C round is very atypically different from what you do here in Arizona, or what you do as probably an entrepreneur in the WordPress space. You're a plugin developer, you're a theme developer. You're going to start small. You're going to try to kind of build a product, find an audience, use things like WP Candy to try to connect with your user base, things like that. So we've established that you're not building a bear poop awareness API, and so let's grow a real business, right? So how do we do that? So before you have a product or service, you need to talk about it. You need to get somebody excited about it. You need to build awareness about it. You need to do some market research. Who here is a straight up WordPress dev? Who's got their own plugins? Who's got their own themes? How do you get people to know about that? Right? You just blog about it. You might put it in a repository. Essentially, though, you need to talk about it quite a bit. You need to show what you're working on. You need to kind of be transparent. Say, hey, look what I'm doing. Twitter makes it so easy, guys. If you've got any sense in your head, you spend a little bit of time on Twitter every day just kind of engaging. Just, hey, oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. Kind of broadcast out there so that when you go to launch and you say, hey, remember this thing I've been working on for 6 months? It's ready. And boom, customers. Repeat the above often, and don't forget to STFU and listen. Because those people you're talking to will give you valuable feedback. And if you have good friends, they will give you very valuable feedback. And it's called, it sucks. Stop what you're doing, go work on something else. Or, that's freaking amazing, let me help you. There's probably not going to be anything in between, because if there is, they're not really your friend. Because if you get that soft answer, oh, it's cool, man. Yeah. So customer 1 through 50, number 1's probably you. Because if you're not building something you'd use yourself, if it's not a plugin that you needed, if it's not a themed framework that you needed, why would anybody else need it? Now be careful about this, because with Best Party Ever, Sally and I, we built something that we thought would be great for the audience. Sally needed it. She wanted to use it. She wanted party planning tips and onlines and social sharing and all these things for event planning. But we didn't do enough market research because the user base that would potentially pay for a service like that to advertise on it is your mom and pop cake decorator and your mom and pop videographer. This is 2005, remember? They had no idea what any of these things we were talking about meant. Blogging, what? So we built it for us, but we didn't know our customers. We actually broke this own rule. So be sure that you're building it for yourself, but also you're building it for a real user, a real customer. 2 through 10 would be your friends and family, because if they don't use it, it really sucks. And 11 through 50 is your close beta group or your social graph. Does everybody here have at least 50 friends on Facebook?
Yes.
Do you have 50 friends on Facebook that would use the product you're working on? Well, go get 50 more friends that would use it. Because that'll tell you if you have a real business or not. So customers 51 through 2,000, you really need to mine your social graph. Again, because we're talking organically. We're working on the assumption that you're doing everything through revenue. You don't have funding. Maybe you have a little bit of savings, but you're doing everything on revenue. So customer 1 gives you $8 profit margin. That's $8 you need to put back in and build and build and build. So, to make good use of those funds, you mine your social graph, LinkedIn, things are good like that. Community outreach, digital analog, WP Tavern, WP Candy, WP Beginner, 1,000 others that are out there. Those are all good places that are kind of voices in the WordPress community that you can work with to help build awareness and things like that. So, and then pick one significant something to spend real dollars on. In our case, it was our first WordCamp sponsorship. Way back in the day, we sponsored, I think WordCamp Boston was our first one. And then WordCamp San Francisco a couple of years ago. So we we chose, okay, we don't have a lot of money to spend at the time, but let's put it to where we get the most bang for the buck. And that was that. At the time, it was a WordCamp sponsorship, and it worked okay. We don't do a lot of sponsorships much anymore, pretty much because we found the ROI is up and down. They've gotten a lot better lately since the WordPress.org organizers have really kind of made it part of their mission to take care of the sponsors and kind of do a little bit more for the sponsor end. So you probably get a little more bang for your buck if you wanted a sponsor now than you would, say, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Referral programs are great, and you need to iterate and make a big deal about it. And I'm using the example of unicorn enhancement technology. Now with horns. Now with glitter. Right? We all see toothpaste and toothbrush ads. Tell me one major scientific advancement in toothbrush and toothpaste in 100 years. There isn't one. But every freaking 3 months, Colgate has the new Reach and the new this, and the Cox has Cox Cable, what is it? With Turbo Boost? Really? It's marketing speak. So whatever your plugin is, or whatever your theme is, or whatever your hosting company is, or whatever it is you're doing in the space, stay relevant, stay fresh. Just keep pushing it, doing new things, and talk about it. So after you get 2,000 customers, you might get covered in the press. You might. Because unless you're taking funding, TechCrunch ain't going to pay attention to you. ReadWriteWeb's not going to pay attention to you. Mashable's not going to take any attention to you. Because all they care about is fundings and acquisitions and mergers, if you're trying to get tech press. Now, WP Candy and WP Tavern, on the other hand, they might give you a little press because you're doing something novel in the niche WordPress space. So you've made it to whatever number is right for your business. Maybe you need to sell 500 plugins. Maybe you need to sell 2,000 themes. Whatever that number is for you to kind of have some cash to play with, congratulations, you finally made it. You finally have $500 to actually put towards real marketing. So you've made it through kind of your organic growing, kind of bootstrap, get it out the door phase. So you have traction now. You actually have something of value. You actually have a real sustainable business. You have customers that pay you something every month. Hopefully it's every month. If you're doing one-off licenses, you're doing it wrong. Quote me on that. So you have a name, you have marketing, you have repeat customers, you got revenue coming in. You now have an actual business that's worth something, that's going to provide for you, your family, pay for employees, health care, things like that. So it's not the easiest journey to get there. For Pagely, it took, I don't know, maybe 8 months before we had any significant revenue to really play with. I mean, we were making $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month by that time, but server costs, kind of reinvesting back in with marketing, there wasn't a lot to play with until probably year 2, when we could really get crazy. But we've proved that we have traction, we have a real business. So here's what worked for us. You've got to earn revenue on customer number 1. I have this theory that if you're not making money on every customer, you're doing it wrong. Because then you're just giving away your services for free. If you're on the freemium model, like, oh, we'll give you this for free forever, or if we can just get 1,000 free users, then it proves our business works. No, it doesn't. It proves you're an idiot. You gave something away 1,000 times. Right? Again, unless you have a rich uncle or funding in the bank, you can't give anything away. Because every dollar you take in gives your business another day's worth of life. So automate everything. Pagely to this day is 5 employees. That's intentional. We could hire 10, we could hire 15. It's 5. Because we've automated the piss out of everything we can possibly do. Most of our efforts is in business development and customer support. And right now we just finished a big technical move, and we are revamping our entire dashboard. So there is some real dev work that we're doing. But for the most part, business development support is where we spend our money. And we don't need 30 people on staff to do push buttons because the entire system is automated. You go to the site, gives you a credit card, site provisions, you break something, there's a white screen eliminator to reset it. You want to update your credit card, you just put it in, we verify it. Systems automation is how the world goes around. So if you're doing the same task more than once, punchline, you're doing it wrong. Act as if you will never hire anyone ever. Again, it goes back to automation. If you're setting yourself up to kind of the business to sustain itself, and you keep this in your mind that, oh, if I only need 10 people to make this work, well, try to only do it with one person. Try to do it with 2 people. So act as if you don't need those people, and that will force you to be lean and mean with your resources. Raising capital, I feel, is an inefficient use of time. Has anybody tried to raise capital here? Well, I can tell you from my close friends in Silicon Valley that they spend so much time raising capital. It takes them away from their core business. So once you go down that path, that's pretty much your path to raise, raise, and raise, and raise. And what you're basically trying to do is convince people who don't know you, most likely, to give you money for an idea that's unproven. But if you have traction, it's proven. Changes the relationship, you have a lot more leverage. So work on getting traction in a real business before you try to go raise funds. Twitter, Facebook, and blogging only cost time. Does anybody disagree with that? Do we all have good social media presences, is the marketing people would call it? Spending money on quality needs, not the wants. Pagely was built entirely on an aging MacBook Pro. It was a 15-inch 2.17, it was like 4 years old or something, and an old 19-inch analog monitor. Up until the iPhone 4S, Sally and I used the original iPhone for 4 years. The thing was a brick. But you know, I think of it like in a classic car. Just because the car's old doesn't mean you throw it out, it still works. But you don't need the $1,000 Aeron chairs. You don't need the 27-inch Mac monitors if you're getting started. Spend the money on the good stuff, not the dumb stuff. Just anybody know anybody who does that? That just thinks they need the right tool? Oh, if I only had this, my business would work? Right. My uncle was that guy. He owned a custom display company. And when I was 14, for the summer, I worked, and we built these 15-foot tall statues of Ramses, the Egyptian pharaoh, that went into the casino down in Luxor. If you've ever been to the Luxor casino and you see these big statues, that was my summer job when I was 14, building those. But apparently it wasn't good enough to just, you know, mix the concrete in the wheelbarrow. No, you had to go buy this $10,000 concrete machine. And it wasn't good enough to just lay in the fiberglass reinforcement. You had to go buy this $8,000 sprayer concrete fiberglass shooter thing. This company didn't last because he was too focused on, if I just had this next tool, my business would work. Be the best and price accordingly. When we started Pagely, hosting was, what, $3 at GoDaddy? $4 at HostGator? What, maybe $20 at Media Temple for grid service. And that was like the high end, it seemed. We came into the market saying, all we're doing is WordPress, and we're going to charge you $15 a month. At the time, that was 3 to 4 times the going rate. People looked at us like we were insane. Like, how the heck are you going to charge that? Our prices have gone up since then. Because at the time, we felt we had the best product available. There was nothing else out there. We were doing more for the customer than anybody else could, so we felt like we had the right to charge for it. And that also allowed us to actually grow a business. Because if we were trying to compete on price at $6 or $4, there's no margin there, there's no profit there to play with anything. On Ryan's blog, there's a big thing on Theme Forest, right? They charge, what, $29, $39? And people look at them like, what are you, crazy? You could charge, $100 for this or something. For whatever reason, it works on them, probably on an economies of scale thing, but you don't see Genesis charging $20. You don't see Woo Themes charging $20. Well, actually, they do have that $20 developer. Anyway, if you're proud of what you've done and it solves a real problem, charge for it. Since then, since we've launched, the other players that have come into our space, they've essentially matched that pricing structure. Some of them even exceeded it. Good for them. If they can charge more, rock on. We have got our system down so tight that we know where every single penny is coming from, where if we raise prices, it'd just be more profit. We don't need to, and at some point we may. But for right now, we think we've got pricing figured out to where it works and it keeps all the customers coming in and everybody happy. But don't be afraid to assign a dollar value on your work, because if you don't, the customer is. And what do you think the customer wants to pay? Yeah, not very much. And educate your customers. We have a very paternal philosophy at Pagely. When somebody submits a support ticket, we don't just solve it. Why would we do that? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's a WordPress-related question. Why doesn't X work in WordPress? If we just said, we'll do it for you, our customers don't get any smarter. Our customers don't get any better. Our customers just keep submitting more tickets. So we take a very paternal response where our tickets are, question X. So here's 3 or 4 sentences on why this is happening. Here's 3 or 4 sentences on how you can fix it yourself in the future. And by the way, we've taken care of it this time, have a good day. And they feel more empowered, they're happier, they feel better. They think we're great because now they're more educated to actually use WordPress. Because if we automated everything, they'd never learn anything. So we kind of let them cut their teeth a little bit. A happy customer is a more profitable customer because our cost basis is not on equipment, it's on support. And anybody in the hosting space will tell you that. It's the cost of support. And that's another reason why we don't do phone support. It's another reason why we don't do 24/7 support. Because our customers really don't need it. Because we take such good care of them and make them a little smarter that they can kind of self-manage most of the time. Who's got other ideas besides the idea you're working on right now? Shame. No. We all have ideas, and that's great. But you're never going to get anywhere with them if you don't buckle down and focus on one of them and see it through to either a logical, this isn't going to work, next, or see it through to this is working, let's double down on it. If you're wishy-washy and be like, oh, oh yeah, it didn't work. Oh, 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 what if I did this? Okay, you're going in 30 different directions and you're not doing anything. Pagely's got 5 or 6 products in the backlog, standalone products that would probably be just as successful as Pagely. But we don't pursue them yet because we still feel like we have a ways to go on Pagely, on what we're trying to do in the space. So we have to have the focus and the discipline to say, you know what, these products and ideas are good, but let's just kind of sit on them for a little bit and really push this one, get it going even bigger, stronger. Now we're starting to kind of develop one of them right now that later this summer we'll probably be talking about a little bit. So, excuse me, everything that I've can be boiled down to this Konami code, right? So work harder than the next guy. I probably worked, 19, 20 hours a day for 8 months straight, it seemed, 7 days a week, in 2009, getting Pagely off the ground. I still put in hours like that every once in a while, but thankfully I don't have to do much anymore. But if the other guy's got money, or if the other guy's got a better product, or if the other guy's got more customers, your only avenue to beat him is to work harder. Because you don't have money yet, right? Because we're bootstrapping a business. You don't have customers yet because you just started. So you have to double down and work harder. Like your dad taught you, like your grandpa taught you. Good old-fashioned bust your knuckles work. There's no easy way. Don't be shady. Has anybody ever dealt with a shady dude? Right? Is that the most despicable thing? The biggest reason why Pagely hasn't taken funding, the #1 reason is because I don't want somebody else dictating how my company works and operates. Because Sally and I have a very strong sense of integrity and values, and called morals. The golden rule, treat people well, they'll treat you well. I don't ever want Pagely to be driven by the need to hit the next revenue marker. I don't want Pagely to ever, the board to ever say, you know what, you can make an extra $8.77 per customer if you just gave them this crappy upsell. But that upsell is useless. So what? Do it anyways. We've got to hit our board numbers. I never want Pagely to be that way. Because we don't want to be shady. We sell you a service, what you need, when you need it, and try to do our best to honor that agreement. We don't give you crap you don't need. Because I think it says a lot about a company when you can have an honest dialogue. We've seen all sorts of marketing tricks out there. Fill out this free form and we'll tell you how we can optimize your shit. Why don't you just tell them how to optimize their shit? I don't know. We're pretty transparent about things in that way. If you're interested on the kind of the longer backstory and the technical aspects and the server stack and everything that we've done with Pagely over the last 3 years, on the Pagely blog there is a 5-part series I just wrote. And it goes all the way from Flare 9 to today. Talks about our server iteration, our business partnerships, what sort of packages we tried, things like that. It's really kind of the behind the scenes. So treat your customers well, but don't be a patsy. Why is that important? You don't want your customers to walk all over you. Treat them good, but then again, educate them. If you're a plugin author or a theme author, you really want to give quality support, but you don't want them to just treat you like crap. You know, like walk all over you, demand everything. It's like, no, hey, I sold you the product with an instruction manual, read it. Then I'll answer your question. Build, make, do, epically awesome shit. If it's not epic, why are you even doing it? And trust yourself, because nobody knows your business better than you. Can I say that again? Nobody knows your business better than you. You eat, you sleep, you breathe this. You know what's working, you know what's not. You're looking at the numbers every day. You know that when you do this, more customers come. Outside advice is helpful. Gangplank is filled with great people and mentors and advisors. It's just a data point. Your board, your advisory board, they're just data points. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to change the plugin and jam in this upsell. You don't need to. Trust yourself. And celebrate every success, which I call moving towards motivation. Is anybody here a procrastinator? Right. This is my last point. I'll make it brief. I'm sorry if I've gone over. If anybody here is a procrastinator, I'm going to give you the secret to end procrastination. You guys ready to write this down? It's called moving towards motivation. The average person out there on the planet has moving away from motivation. They're moving away from pain. I got to get this science project done. If I don't, I'm going to get an F. So they're moving away from the pain of getting an F. They got the motivation to get their ass out of the fire. If I don't get up and go to work tomorrow, my mortgage isn't going to get paid. I'm going to get fired. Their motivation is not to get fired. They're moving away from the pain of getting fired. Their results look like this. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Because you work just hard enough to get your ass out of the fire, and you get lazy again. Because you're like, oh, I don't want to do this next project. So you procrastinate, fall back in the fire, hustle, hustle, hustle. So if you move towards motivation, you're moving towards something. Me, I want a $200,000 sports car. I drive an Audi now. I want a faster Audi. I want a nice house down here in Chandler. I want to vacation my whole life. I want to spend time with my children that I just had. Those are things that I use as an anchor to pull me. Rather than push me up, they pull me towards something. So the next time you're procrastinating, next time you're like, man, I really should do this, but I don't want to. Think of what doing it is going to get you. Whether it's a material thing, a sense of well-being, or something. So do we all get that? Use something to pull you to success rather than push you out of the fire. And that's essentially how we built Pagely from the ground up. We always had a bigger vision of this is where we want to go, and we're going to do everything it takes to get there. We're going to work hard, play hard, treat our customers well, and build a solid business. And at the end of the day, that's how you build, at least in my world, an organically grown business. Thank you.